Check, check. How do we look? How do we sound? We'll get started here in a minute. Just want to make sure the visual is good. We'll get started here very shortly. Just want to make sure the visual is good. Awesome. Looks like we are good to go. Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today's video is kind of a special, different one. I wanted to go live and talk about this, and you guys can watch it and replay. But Bitcoin has just hit some very important levels. And I think in this video, I wanted to answer the question of whether or not this cycle is over. Can it continue? Now, there's going to be some extra levels to the analysis today. But if the cycle isn't over, can we still have a 4-year cycle? There are many people hoping, waiting for a 4-year cycle. Can we still have a 4-year cycle is maybe 1B for that question, or the second question we should ask. So 1, is it still over? 2, can we still get a 4-year cycle? And I guess 3, if not, what data should we be looking at to see to confirm whether or not this cycle is continuing to a level like 150, 200K, or if we are going down to somewhere like 50 or 60K this year. All right, so those seem to be the two camps out there. I'll do my best to answer those questions. Let's start off with our indicators. Of course, we have extreme fear in the markets today. Bitcoin has sold off something like 10%, something crazy like that. So I take a look at this and ask myself, are we near a local bottom? And we'll go through the data on that. I'm going to go through a bunch of different data that we've been talking about on this channel and trying to make the argument for and against a still a bullish case scenario. So are we getting another pullback? You can see extreme fear is at one of the lowest levels that we've had really since the tariff scare back in April. And when we've had extreme fear this cycle, okay, what are we going to call this one? Tariff scare 2.0? Not sure yet. I have the best label. But here was tariff scare 1.0 when we had extreme fear. We'll get to this in the charts. Here was the yen carry trade unwind last year. And then, of course, we had extreme fear before the cycle bottom. The cycle bottomed later on. As far as the rainbow chart, we are re-entering the light green log regression color band in the light green, you can see gets as low as 88K. I'm not saying we're going to get there, but when you look at the light green, you see a range of 88 to 114K. So it's just generally in that range. And again, what I'm looking for with the log regression is not necessarily any specific color band that we have to hover in that price, but you do see how we have this set of diminished returns from these peaks over time. And it's even reflected in this cycle right here. So I am still looking for the orange zone to be a potential topping area, somewhere between 150 to 250K. That would be the next logical place for Bitcoin to top. You see how we go down a color zone each time. You take a look between the two color zones that are orange, that's roughly around 200K. A reason why this is going to be a point 4, why we can still be bullish. I keep going back to the Shiller PE ratio. You can see how this is very similar right now. This AI bubble, if you will, is very similar to the dot-com bubble. And even when the dot-com bubble hit over 40 on the Shiller PE ratio, you can take a look at the date right here. That is late 98, early 99. Right now the Shiller PE is just above 40. The S&P 500 still had another year to go, staying above 40, at least a year. Actually, it's over 400 days. And we had another 25% up to go in the market. So that would tell me that there is still room for positive growth this cycle. Now, last Friday when I did a live stream, we talked about the 4-year cycle. A lot of people say, you know what, 4-year cycle no matter what, that's what I'm basing my plan off of. And personally, I struggle with that. I struggle with using one data point, being timing, as the only indicator. We haven't always had 4-year cycles. Even the first cycle, let me scroll down so we can see the halvings here. It's important to see these halving marks. You can see the first cycle topped in June 2011. And then it was 2 years later. Okay, well, that's not 4 years. But then we had a string of 4-year cycles. 4, 4 right here. However, this last cycle, and I talked about this a lot last Friday, I made the argument that really you could say we had 3 different cycle tops. We had the cycle top before alt season, which was here. We had the classic 4-year cycle time. But when you take a look between the halvings, this was the true cycle top. What is a cycle if not what takes place between the halvings? This has long been a thought of mine. So we had the true top in March of 24. Now, let's get over into the Bitcoin data and where we see Bitcoin right now. Okay. And before I use different indicators, I try to make this as simple as possible. Here we have a Fibonacci retracement drawn from the prior cycle high to the current cycle low. Now, is my fib perfect? No. So let's fix that right here. We're going to make sure it lines up with those high to lows and get you the exact numbers that we can, or as close to it. So when we take a look at this fib retracement, we have an extension here, a 1618 extension just under 102K. Now let's go over to the weekly. The weekly, I think, shows this even better. Now, remember that March 24 all-time high? On this channel, we talked about how that high really wasn't being set or being honored because you can see how the wick rejects those candle bodies. And when you get more rejection, it's going to come down. Now, when Bitcoin got its next move, it went up to this 1618 fib, which is where we are right now. But you see candle bodies underneath it rejected. Okay, this is the 1236 fib, if you're wondering. Once we got above that, we went higher. We've been forming this channel, and now we have wicked down to this 1618 fib. Now, if we add on, we're going to add on an indicator at a time. If we add on our moving averages, and I'll show you the indicators I use because I think any of the crypto people that you follow, if you can't replicate their data strategies or how they get data, then to me it's kind of useless. So I like to have a conversation with people here and let's be on the same page. Now, these moving averages, the orange moving line is the 50-week moving average. Let's go back to times of extreme fear. We had extreme fear here in August. Again, that's the end carry trade. Here, March, April, and right now. Coincidentally, those were also the times that Bitcoin put in a local bottom. So we have a couple bits of structure right here. We have this ascending channel. We have this 1618. We have the 50-week moving average. Is this enough to say this is a local bottom? Well, in today's earlier video, I touched on this just a little, but I wanted to go deeper in another video with y'all. You can see that this moving average got tagged 2-3 times. Each of the last 2 times that Bitcoin got down to the 50-week moving average. So this is once, and what that would tell me if we see something similar is that over the course of the next month or so, we should be retesting this moving average, and you want to see it hold. These are 2 major areas of support to hold. Now, one of the other charts that I wanted to touch on today was that of Bitcoin dominance. If you don't know what Bitcoin dominance is, it is the percent of the crypto market that is taken up by Bitcoin. I think this is important to look at as far as understanding what's going on macro-wise. Now, whenever you are underneath the 50-week moving average, you are bearish. Bitcoin dominance at the 50-week is being tested. And so if price of Bitcoin is going down and Bitcoin dominance is going up, all right, price down, dominance up, altcoins are going to go down even more against Bitcoin. Now, one of the other important charts, just to touch on this real quick, this is 2017. You see half a dozen or so 30 to 40% pullbacks. Imagine being in the crypto space at a time like that. I was there, and let me tell you, it is ingrained in me that crypto is going to crypto. And what I mean by that is expect pullbacks. And those pullbacks are opportunities as long as the top isn't in yet. And I don't believe the top's in. One of the reasons for this is that historically, the top has been in right before we've had a rotation with Bitcoin dominance. And you can also see, this is the 2017 cycle, when dominance was going down, it came back up, and then we had our alt season. When the percent of money in crypto, so 61% of all money in crypto is in Bitcoin right now. Okay, it came back up, got rejected off the 50-week moving average, and it crashed, and here was alt season. Likewise, last cycle, dominance was going down for a while, came back up, tested those levels, and down. Here, Bitcoin dominance, it stayed bullish here, okay? People thought this was a nice little alt season. This is just a blip in the radar. We came up, and I think this is the top for this cycle, and now it seems that Bitcoin dominance is probably going to turn bullish again. So what that means for our altcoins is that they will go down in the near future. Now, I can go to a couple different charts here to show you that this isn't unusual. Let's take a look at others-Bitcoin. And if you wonder what is others, okay, we'll just show you real quick. Others, let's go to crypto, is the total market cap outside the top 10 altcoins. So this is all your mid to small caps, everything underneath Cardano. You add up all their market cap, it's at 0.11. That means the total market cap of everything outside the top 10 is 11% that of Bitcoin. Well, let's take a look and compare to when Bitcoin topped. Remember, I'm talking about this rotation. You see how Bitcoin tops here when altcoins are at the bottom? And then when Bitcoin tops and is too expensive to keep buying, that is when we've seen a rotation into alts. Again, when Bitcoin tops, it's too expensive. That is when we see a rotation. Now, right now, we've been following this more lately. We are in phase 2. And so Ethereum is overall doing better against Bitcoin. But again, this is just alt season. People ask about alt season all the time. Look at what happened with the alt season metric back here. You can see how much it bled, and you can see that there were weeks. We're on the weekly time frame where, take a look at that, 49% down. Can you imagine if we had a 49% down for alts in this environment? Anyways, let's go to the last cycle. Here's where Bitcoin topped. and there was still rotation left. Now, last cycle, we had a lot of quantitative easing, record amounts of it that I don't expect this cycle. We are talking about, or the Fed is talking about, not we, the Fed is talking about quantitative easing coming back in December, but I'm pumping the brakes on as far as how much to expect. So I'm looking more at a 2017 scenario rather than 2021. But look at the altcoin market compared to Bitcoin, how much it crashed just over the course of a couple months. And again, one of the biggest weekly candles, can we get this correct here, went down 29-30%. Okay, so this is not unusual. What I'm trying to show you guys here is that altcoins will die against Bitcoin. And this is as Bitcoin dominance is going up. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance because it was just going up. We got to marry all this data together. Where did Bitcoin dominance peak? Right here, right as the altcoins died. That was 2017. What about 2021? Where did Bitcoin dominance peak? Right here, right as all the altcoins died. And so right now, what we are seeing is Bitcoin dominance probably doing another peak. And where's that happening? Right as Bitcoin dominance is dying. So you guys, I hope you hear what I'm saying as far as my thesis for this cycle. Now, before I go any further, let me just remind you, this is my hypothesis. Okay? I am risking it for the biscuit. I am putting my money where my mouth is. If I'm right, I make some good money. If I'm wrong, obviously, I don't make as much money as I want, even though Bitcoin mining stocks have served me well. And now the mouse, the mouse is frozen, so this stream might cut out. I might just have to do a recorded video. Sorry about this. Hopefully it comes back.